Okay, guys, so as for Summit 2022, the winter edition is now live. And as you can see, guys, on your screens, we are now joined by Tessa Christiaanse, who is a senior Salesforce service designer at NextView. Hi, Tessa, great having you here.
Hello, nice to be here.
As you guys probably know, if you guys checked our agenda, Tessa will be telling you a bit more about design-led Salesforce consulting just in a few seconds. Just let me remind you that we are having a Q&A session after this presentation, so be sure to leave your questions in the comments section, and then I will be showing all of them to our speaker, and we'll try to find some answers to your questions. So Tessa, once again, great having you here on As for Summit 2022. I'm leaving you with our viewers. Guys, have fun and see you soon.
All right, thank you, Dorota. Well, let me start with our problem. So, a dive into the design-led consulting approach that we use at NextView. So, maybe a lot of us probably can relate to the following situations which apply to a consultant or a company or both. That moment when you have implemented the Salesforce solution successfully, but heard during or afterwards that the actual user, for example, a call center agent, didn't make use of the implemented functionalities. Or, for example, a problem owner that kept asking to add extra fields to objects, for example, a lead or an opportunity, or on the case object. But you were not really sure if that was really an answer to the problem that they had. Or the third situation where the project had started with the idea that they wanted to have a 360 customer view, but during the project it became clear that they didn't really know what view they actually needed and what details were needed in there, let alone they knew how to make use of the captured customer data in the 360 view. Well, those different situations, we have experienced them too, quite a lot actually. Thinking that we know what our customer wants and that the customer knows what they want, and we can therefore be first time right with the solution will slow you down in the end. When rushing the start of a project, you may get a misalignment on what you get out of Salesforce and what you could gain out of it. It prevents gaining maximum business value out of the use of the Salesforce system. Also, it could end up in having a really low user adoption because either you didn't solve the actual problem for the user or you solved it incorrectly. And third, when rushing, you may end up with unclear or different expectations among stakeholders. So not everyone is happy with the end result. And those are problems that will occur, and we know this from real actual projects. So at least to us, this is not theory, but this is reality. So this is why we use our DLA, or design-led approach. And why do we use this DLA? We use it for three things mainly. The first thing is stronger business alignment, because our approach supports business alignment by envisioning the future together with the client, with all the other team members at the client side. We all have our noses pointed in the same direction because of it. And because of that, we can accelerate decision-making during the project. The second point why we use our DLA is because of increased employee engagement. So the way of working fosters employee engagement. People in the business feel ownership of the solution because they have been involved while creating that solution, which also makes them excited about it. And the best thing that could happen is that they become ambassadors of the solution. And then finally, already quickly showed it, improved customer experience. That's the ultimate reason why we use our design-led approach. You will never hear us say, please take the Salesforce functionalities from the list that you would like us to implement. No, we don't never start from technology. We always start with the end user in mind. So from the perspective of the end user. And that's why we will have an improved customer experience in the end. So before diving into more details about our design-led approach, let me tell you why am I the one talking to you today. So as Dorota introduced me already, my name is Tessa Christiaanse and I'm a service designer at NextView. And I have a background in industrial and in strategic product design. And based both in New Zealand and now back in the Netherlands, I have been a product designer in consumer products and IT, and then shifted focus to designing services and experiences. And as an experience designer slash service designer, first at PwC, now at NextView, I take great pleasure in simplifying the complex and creating services and experiences in such a way that users and customers love using them. So what makes NextView special and what made me decide to work here is that we have a team of designers, and together with all the consultants within the NextView family, we apply this unique way of working in which we put our customer first in everything we do. So speaking of which, our team of designers consists of a bunch of people coming from diverse backgrounds like me, UX or industrial design, but also from the Salesforce platform or customer experience areas. And on a daily basis, we're bundling all the expertise that we have and passion for human-centered design to enforce our NextView family, with the aim to bridge people with technology and to make sure that the system fits the user, so the user does not have to fit the system. That brings me to NextView Consulting. Luckily, the design team doesn't have to do that alone. We enforce the entire NextView organization, from sales representatives to Salesforce developers, to have a user-centric focus on their projects. In short, about NextView, NextView is an independent design-led Salesforce consulting firm. And we're operating in the Netherlands, Germany, and with the recent acquisition of Musa, we have also added Poland, Czech Republic, and Scandinavian countries. We fuel and accelerate digital transformation at ambitious companies throughout Europe, and as a proud B corporation, we see growth as the accelerator of positive impact. And also, last but not least, as a great place to work, we are home of some of the most talented people in the world. And via our design-led approach, we have ingrained design in our daily doing. So now let me move on to the 4 pillars on which we have based our design-led approach. And those 4 pillars are inspired by design thinking. So what are those 4 principles that are crucial to us when we design anything? They are co-create, make it tangible, validate and test, and iterate. Co-create, that's everything around empathizing with your end user and the business and designing things together. Make it tangible, it's around making future ideas and abstract ideas tangible so they can be validated, which leads to the 3rd one, validate and test. That's about testing your concepts continuously, and then iterate based on your tests. Make sure you improve your design and do that over and over again. So it doesn't really sound that difficult, does it? That is because it isn't. It's not rocket science, it's not new, but it's not easy to stick to the principles when you're fully immersed into a project. And you have moving parts all around, like stakeholders change, there are conflicting KPIs, timeline shift, budget has been reached already, or all sorts of problems. So how do we manage this? How do we apply this approach? Let me explain that in more depth. So the first one, co-create. What is it? So it means that we involve all layers of the business, from the top executives to the operational roles, and also never forget the end customer. We involve them in the creation of the solution. Also, we facilitate moments together, conscious moments together, to get into the shoes of the customer, but also of the end user on the client side. And we do that together with the business stakeholders and the end customers by, for example, creating, having role plays, or having workshops, etc. So by using co-creation, the result is that we have employee engagement and business alignment in the end. I would like to now give you an example of a case where we used co-creation and how that was beneficial to us. So here you can see one of our design thinking centers, the one where I'm now in Eindhoven. And this was a workshop where, with a Dutch education company that sells learning modules and trainings to schools, we had a big day of series of workshops to which we have invited all layers of the organization, from sales to support staff, but also the management. And in this workshop, we co-created a future customer journey of one of their clients buying, planning and taking one of their trainings with the Salesforce platform at the basis of it. And that gained us a lot of benefits. But the main one is that the stakeholders in the business got aligned on what type of experience they wanted for their customer. So moving on to the second principle, which was make it tangible. So what do I mean with making it tangible? Well, it means make something real that you can touch or that you can view, because a picture says more than 1,000 words. We all use the same words, but we have all different meanings and nuances to them. By drawing, creating a interactive or non-interactive prototype, or even mapping a process, we make the discussion much more tangible and also more effective, because you only need this one picture and not those 1,000 words. This always results in internal alignment and an improved customer experience. So we do this all the time, but I came up with one example that we did this at a client. So one client of us is called Swiss Sense, and they are a leading player in the European bedding market. So they sell beds. What we did there is we created a service blueprint, and we visualized their whole current process of selling beds, how salespeople engage with the customer all the way to the end of selling, maintaining the bed, or having a service question. We made them role play this customer experience, but then they realized that clients with a question or a complaint often have to tell their story multiple times at multiple departments of their company. And it made them aware of the lack of consistency in that experience. They also realized how siloed they were by playing this role play and by seeing it visually in front of them. And they realized that they needed a better user experience. An extra benefit of the role play was that the employees got very excited about it, and they really wanted to continue improving the experience for their customers. So I would like to take the validate and test and the iterate principle together because they're pretty closely connected. With validate and test, I'm talking about understanding. The first thing you need to do is understand your user and make the company understand their users. So show your visible idea or concept to employees, management, or customers for feedback. So anyone who is involved in any way in the end product, you should hear them and you should understand what their needs and wishes are before you're able to create a nice experience around it. When validating and testing, you have to get people to experience the design in its context. Very important to make it in this way so that they actually understand what context the product is being used. For example, at Swiss Sense, we made sure we tested that at the shop itself. To see, like, do they actually have time to write down customers' wishes while they are talking to someone, or do they do that after they talk to the people, the clients in the shop? So it's really important to understand everything in its context that it's used. And you can sometimes manipulate and try to test things in a scenario or a role play, like I mentioned before. So then what you need to do is test the scenario and then write down the feedback, analyze it, do that thoroughly, and then do some redesign and improve your prototype and then show it again. That's the iteration. So iterating means with small increments, improve your prototype and test it again. And you by doing that, it makes sure that you waste the least time possible in creating a design that might not be a solution to the problem. And also, all the way in the end, the ultimate goal and the ultimate thing that you will reach is an optimized customer experience. So one example where we did a lot of validation, testing, and iteration is in an electrical vehicle brand company named Polestar. So what we did is we had chats to agents whose job are to sell cars. And how they do that is by facilitating test drives. And after that, they have to log the customer information. So what we have done there is we have set up a test environment, and agents are performing real calls in the sandbox. So first thing we did was we had an initial design, and based on some feedback, we redesigned that. Then the user interface, where agents enter the customer information after the test drives with the potential customer, we had half a day of testing where they performed real customer calls with real data. And then we done a round of interviews with the agents, and based on the insights during the observations, we were able to redesign the whole concept. And based on that, we were able to do a lot of technical improvements. And but next to that, we also found out the agent script needed adjustment to become more natural. So testing and little iterations made us save a lot of time in the end. And also it made us create a final solution that was very well solving the problem that they had. So how do we include these 4 principles, the design thinking principles, in our approach? And how does our design-led approach looks in terms of project stages? That brings me to the next few design-led approach and our 5 stages that we use. So first want to say this looks super linear, but actually in real life it's not. It's a framework. It consists of the stages of pre-sales, creating the context, create and validate, make it happen, and accelerate. So often determined by time and budget, it depends per project how often we go through each stage and how long each stage takes. So sometimes it could look like this. We have one project or multiple projects at the same client, and they work in parallel. With some of the projects, we're still in one phase, and with other projects or programs, we are in another phase, or maybe even two phases at the same time. Now, let me dive a bit deeper into the different stages that we have. Starting with the pre-sales stage. So at the pre-sales stage, we included that one in our approach because our client relationship starts already before our first contact. We want to get to know each other and empathize with our client in a really early stage. We want to understand their why behind the why, to be able to deliver value to the customer of the client. So, as I mentioned before, we don't sell the implementation of Salesforce. We don't create a design. We solve a problem, no matter how simple or hard it is. For example, a problem could be to increase employee productivity, to develop customer intimacy, to improve their retention rate. Sometimes it can be generating new service models, or it can be speed up the onboarding process of a company. But how do we do that? Once we know a little bit more about the problem, we will move into stage one, which is creating the context. So in creating the context, we need to understand the current and design the future state. So what we do is we empathize and try to understand the real problem of the client. We try to understand the needs and the wishes of the customer and of the user, and also the technical landscape. And based on that, we are creating the details of the current state. And often we do that by visualizing that in a service blueprint. Next, we want to get an impression of the ideal and realistic future state. So where do they want to get to? What needs do they have with regards to people, process, technology, and data? For example, it means defining ambition and business outcomes and design customer experience and business processes. And then finally, the main thing that we do in the creating the context phase is to reach consensus on how to get to this future state. So this is all about aligning stakeholders. And the end result often would be a service blueprint of the future state, a roadmap, when we are going to do what, priorities, or an epics or a product backlog. So once we have gone through the first stage, we move on to the next one, which is create and validate. So this is the stage where we design and build. We would still need to design details. We know high over where we want to go, but we still need to design the details. And we are going to start to build Salesforce solutions. And often our designers take part in the sprints together with Salesforce consultants. So what we do is we design and build technical integration and architecture. We continuously test and iterate, and we design and support organizational change around adoption. Meaning this is often the stage where we spend most of the time. We run sprints of 2 or 3 weeks, and we actually are implementing the Salesforce solution before designing it into more detail. Also, we always make sure that we maximize the adoption, so understand how the employees are going to use it and how the customer is buying the product. And once we have built something, we always celebrate success. So make it happen. In the make it happen stage, we bring solutions to the business. So that means design and support of the execution of the go live. So what we do here often means we need data migration. We need to train the users and the admins. We also need to embed, redesign custom experiences and organizational changes and maximize adoption. So often it means we need to write down new processes and sometimes training materials. Finally, we are in the acceleration phase, which is the last one. And this is where we embed and expand a new way of working. What that means is we need to make sure that the business is able to continue when we are leaving, so establish continuous development. Hand over to the business, meaning we need to write down process descriptions, for example. Once sometimes MVPs have been launched, they need to be scaled up to other departments of the business. Then also deploy and release management need to be organized, which we will help in a lot of times. And then finally, possible integration of managed services, meaning we have people here that can ensure that also in the future, certain services will always be available. So with this last stage, I have covered a quick version of the explanation of our way of working. In summary, again, those are the different stages that we use. Remember, even if you're not an appointed designer, everyone, no matter which role you're in, can take a step back sometimes and look at it as a holistic view and see, hey, are we actually designing a solution for the problem, for the right problem here? So if you assume, for example, today or tomorrow in your work, would it save the agent a click if I change this layout, but you're not sure about your assumption? Then let's create a quick paper prototype and check it out with your users. Or if you're not sure, adding these fields to the object will help the sales representative to get a better view of the customer. And if that would result in better sales process and a better customer experience in the end, why not write a quick scenario and ask the questions to the people that use it, the sales department of your client? Or better, also include the clients or the customers of the sales department. So on a daily basis, make sure you implement those 4 design principles. Co-create together with the experts, the user, and the customer. Make tangible by visualizing a service blueprint, prototype, or functionality. Validate and test. Test small incremental improvements because it will save you a lot of time if you know it beforehand and not when you already finished the solution. And finally, iterate. Keep on improving with those little increments based on user feedback. And failing is good because then you know, at least you know what does not work. And you could basically start practicing this tomorrow or even today because everyone can do design thinking. So maybe a little bit of homework for everyone. To start practicing those 4 principles could be that, for example, maybe you could think about a small piece of work that you're not sure of in your current work, or things that you have assumptions about. What you can do next is don't spend too much time on making it look nice. Draw it on a piece of paper, quick and dirty, or make a quick prototype. And the third and last step would then be to show it to 3 relevant stakeholders. For example, one of the salespersons of the department, or one of the users that you're building the Salesforce functionality for. and then just ask them for feedback. It can only take about 10 minutes and you already have super valuable feedback, and often you get insights that you weren't aware of. And then, of course, what you would do then is take back that feedback, analyze it quickly, and improve your prototype and improve your design. And then, if time budget admits, then check it again. So that was a little bit of homework and the thing that everybody can put into reality already in their daily lives. And that is our design-led approach. I wish everyone good luck with this little piece of homework. Any questions, you can ask them to me after the quiz, because we have, I think some of you already know, we will get a quiz right now. So let me get this Quizmaster hat on. I would like to invite you all to take part in this quiz and get the chance to win one of our 3 prizes. So, to see if you paid attention, let's check. So, in a moment, I will share the next slide where you will find a QR code that will take you to our quiz. The host will also share a link in the comments section for you too. Before I do so, let me quickly introduce the rules. You will be required to complete a Google form with your details, so make sure they're correct so we can contact you via your email in case you are a great winner of one of our prizes. So once you have filled in your email address, you'll be asked to answer 3 simple questions. And you will have to choose one correct answer from the list. There's only one correct answer. And the first 3 contestants to answer all questions correctly will win one of the prizes. So as you can see, we have 3 really cool prizes. The first one is, let me tell you about the first one. Nextview is the main sponsor and partner of the award-winning sim racing in the Borst Sporta. And therefore, we wanted to award the winner of the quiz with a voucher for a 60-minute sim racing experience. And the second prize is related to doing good. So for people, for society as a whole, as a second place, we want to give you the opportunity to contribute to the creation of a new forest in Poland. So you will receive a voucher to plant 40 trees. These trees will be planted in your name by a local charity. And after the trees have been planted, the recipient will receive a link with the location of the trees. You can actually view them in real life. Really cool. And then finally, the third prize would be to enjoy your favorite music or talk hands-free with these Salesforce branded wireless white earbuds. So that sounds really great, doesn't it? So when you're ready, get your phone out with the scanner, and then I will move on to the next slide on which there will be the QR code. And be quick, because remember, the first 3 contestants will win the prize. There we go. All right, here's the QR code. Please go to the Google form, fill in your details, and win one of the 3 prizes. And you can also use the link, which I believe should now be available in the comment section. So remember, be quick, because the first 3 contestants will win the prizes. By the way, I won't be announcing the winners, but my colleague Philip Poynton will contact the winners via email. So keep an eye out on your inbox. You might be a winner. All right. Hopefully you're all really busy with answering the questions of the quiz. In the meantime, I would like to also let everyone know that my colleague Mieszko will be running another presentation today at 4:30 p.m. And if you would like another chance to win the prizes, please join us on this session later today. All right. So I think I can now move on to the Q&A part of the session. Dorota, do we have any questions from the audience?
Yes, we do. I'm sorry, the emotions of the quiz got to me, really. But now, just let me see if we have any questions. Yeah, we do. Okay, guys, we still have about 5 to 10 minutes. So if you have any more questions, please, this is the time to leave them in comments. Now, this is the first one. How big is the design team at NextView?
Yeah, so our design team, we are now 10 people strong. But as I said, also a lot of our other colleagues, they also help us with implementing the design thinking principles. So actually, we're all designers here. But yeah, my team is at the moment we're 10 people.
Okay, and the next one. I'm a Salesforce consultant. I work closely with clients. How can I introduce design thinking?
And that's a nice one. So it's make it more practical in real life. Yeah, I think a little bit like the homework. When you're not sure if what you're designing is actually a real solution to the real problem, go out and ask. Make sure you know your customer, you know your end user. And also, yeah, make sure you iterate with little increments so you don't waste time with creating a beautifully looking end solution, but not sure if it's really fixing the problem. Yeah, and yeah, so quickly iterate, quickly prototype, draw things. It doesn't have to be pretty, and even just show to a colleague sitting right next to you, hey, do you understand what you need to click on here? See if it's intuitive to use. So yeah, I think those are all these little things that you can already apply in real life.
And Tomek is asking, are developers involved in design phase?
Yes, so we always do the design like we see it as co-creation. So not just with the business, but also with the designers and the developers or the Salesforce consultants. We always want to make sure that everybody is behind the solution. So we are making sure that also the developers will be involved in design phase. And as I said, it's not just a phase which is fixed. Design will happen throughout the whole, all the phases. So also when we are building, we are still designing little pieces and little details. And then also we try to include the developers so that also we understand we are not creating something beautiful, which is, for example, technically not feasible.
And then Philip is asking, when do you announce the winners of the quiz? Tessa, I believe you mentioned it. Philip will be contacting the winners, right?
Yeah, via email. I hope he will do that later today. I'm sure of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was all about the time in this quiz, so probably there are some winners already, but who knows, guys? You still have the QR code, as you can see on your screen, so maybe you can still try to win the competition. Okay, 2 more questions from our mailbox. This one, what's B Corp?
Yeah, that's a good one. So be a corporation. It's actually it's a license or something you can apply for as a private company, and can be obtained by companies that demonstrate high social and environmental performance. So you need to tick a very long list, and yeah, if you get to that high level of high social and environmental performance, you are able to achieve this certificate.
Right, and the last one, I believe, for now is you mentioned the Design Thinking Center in Eindhoven. Do you have any other locations?
Yeah, so at the moment, already for a lot of years, we have one in Amsterdam and one in Eindhoven, more in the south of the Netherlands. And next year, we will be opening up one in Frankfurt in Germany. And with the acquisition of Musa, we are also planning to start design thinking centers in Poland and the Czech Republic.
Yeah, so guys, keep an eye out on those. And thank you so much, Tessa, for all the answers and also for your presentation, for joining us for this live presentation. But I believe this is not the last moment we can see each other and talk, because you will be joining the virtual stand, right, of your company.
Yeah, that's correct. I believe it will start at 12:30, right?
Yes, as I can see right now in the timetable, it's 12:30 till 1 p.m. You'll be answering all those additional questions that our viewers might have for you, right?
Yeah, so I'll be there with some other colleagues. So if you have any other questions that you would like to ask to us personally, please come to the booth, and we will be happy to answer them.
Yes, and I'm adding the link to the booth right now. It's space.s4summit.pl/nextview. Be sure to join our sponsor and see what they have prepared for you. There are some job openings. There are some materials sent by NextView, so please check it out. Okay, Tessa, thank you so much once again for joining us, and we hope to see you very soon during the next S4 Summit conference.
Yeah, thanks very much for my time. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. See you soon.